Hello, today is Saturday. It is May 27th, 2023, 7:46 in the morning. Today's session is titled S&P 500 closes above 4,200. Now what? And this is your weekend report. Hi, this is Jonathan Gurney, Portfolio Manager at Gurney Financial. Disclosure statement, this post is for informational use only. The views expressed are those of the author Jonathan M. Gurney. This material is not intended to be relied upon as a forecast, research, or investment advice. It is not a recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any securities or to adopt any investment strategy. In short, we're keeping our clients aware of what's going on, the moves we made, what we're seeing from a breadth standpoint, participation in the market, and just overall going over risk reward. Let's get into the charts. Okay, so let's start with the overall performance, the indexes. So what's happening right now is mega cap tech and semiconductors are absolutely killing it, and it is doing a really good job of holding up the markets, and there's nothing wrong with that. That can continue for a long time. We've seen it in 2021 where it lasted for 6 months. So I'm not in the camp where I'm saying, hey, breadth is terrible, this cannot continue higher. I think it can, but realistically what I think is actually happening is I think you had a combination of NVIDIA, which is a semiconductor, had a fantastic report. You had a lot of people off sides. So for example, earlier in the week, the S&P 500 was down 1.83%. So Wednesday's close, the market's down 1.83%. Boom, everybody's negative, everybody's starting to short, and we were at levels that were not pretty. I mean, it was concerning. And so NVIDIA reports an unbelievable report, takes off 25, 27%. And you can see the next day it exploded. And I had some on. So I had actually, if you look at here, I had avoided a lot of, I used Wednesday as a day to position. But what realistically happened was I took gains a little too early each of these days. I have ways to improve on that, so I won't go into that. But overall, I prevented a big dip up through Wednesday, positioned well on Wednesday, good risk reward. We were down Wednesday, but we were pressing pretty decently hard. On the gap up, I took profits. It was too early. Same thing on Friday, gapped up. I took profits a bit too early. So you learn from it, but overall, this is how I want to trade during these circumstances. The debt ceiling got a lot of people off sides. It's going, a lot of times what we're seeing is early week weakness. So early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, weakness, and end of the week recover. That's just kind of been the trend. We'll see if that continues, but my biggest worry is this. Is this going to be a sell the news event? Nobody knows, but let's look at the charts to show whether risk reward is good. So we'll hit the charts now. Let's go over sectors first. So for the week, what's crazy, and this is what I'm saying, like if you weren't within the big mega cap names and obviously the semiconductors, you really didn't do great. 8 out of the 11 sectors were negative this week. So this just shows how difficult this market is. Breadth really is not that strong, but can it continue? The market can continue higher when mega cap tech, which drives the indexes, continues to go higher. So I want to make that very clear that yes, I see under the hood that breadth is not good, but this can continue. So overall, there's your week. The NASDAQ or the QQQ tech names doing a great job of holding everything up, and it can continue. I'm not being negative on that comment whatsoever. So some things that I want to show you that are important is breadth obviously improved. This is Wednesday, so let me update that. This is more of a short-term perspective. It did improve Thursday and Friday, which is good. If we go to the where are you? There you are. This is what I was pointing out last week, is can breadth continue to improve? It actually worsened this week despite Thursday and Friday being fantastic up days. And this is where it gets people off sides. And this is where I'm saying this can happen. In 2021, the same thing happened where we were oversold. You know, breadth was terrible, and the index, which is the green, did well. So breadth worsened. Finally, some names participated, and really the indexes did well. Why? Because mega cap tech did well. So that very well could continue. So breadth is iffy. Again, what do you see here? That's the week. Now let's go to year to date. This gives the real picture. If you're not in these areas, and we've won some of these, but not as much as I would like. But if you're not in those areas, you're not doing well for the year, period. And it just shows how difficult, and really breadth is not very good. But let's go over growth versus value. Kind of an interesting chart here. Excuse me, value versus growth. So as you can see, this relationship or ratio is going down because value names are not doing well, and it's kind of that extreme level. So two things are going to happen. Either QQQ keeps holding us up, or we rotate. If we rotate, this market could really shoot higher, and that's kind of what I want to see. So I'm not negative on this. We saw the same thing in 2021, like I was saying right here. Value went down, the indexes went higher, and eventually people bought value, and this is where you had a nice rally. Okay, so overall, breadth is not good. Let's look at the charts though. Risk reward, what do we see? So this was a complete V up. So ugly, as we stated, and a nice V up. So in my trading system, this is not a great area to press hard. If you have positions on, you hold them as long as possible. I'm being very cautious with some of the things that I'm seeing, but overall, it wouldn't surprise me to see another day or two higher on a debt ceiling report. Eventually, I think it becomes a sell the news event, but for now, we're fine. So another perspective, some of the value names, what is it doing over the last year? A lot of these names are still negative, with XLI being the outlier. From a growth perspective, it's a little bit different. Okay, so here's the growth perspective, and this is a year perspective, and you can see still a lot of areas are not great. Some of these are truthfully not growth. I can only put so many names within the chart. So semiconductors, as we discussed, absolutely killing it. So the relationship is doing fantastic. So this doesn't mean that the SMH is this relationship is just really good. Okay, so XLK, which is basically QQQ or NASDAQ 100, is doing well. What is communications doing? It's still not as high as you would think it would be for the year, but it's had a nice run since the end of basically the beginning of 2023. So areas that I still am interested in, obviously you can't fight the QQQ. I mean, this is fantastic. Now that's a big candle. It kind of reminds me of something like this. Might need some time to digest this move. It is overbought, but it can remain there. So I'm not necessarily using RSI as a place to sell, but more of a place to judge risk reward. And risk reward is truthfully not great here, but would it surprise me to go up a couple more days or a day, potentially. So overall, breadth, not great. Would love to see the value names kind of give the technology names a breather. And if that happens, I think we're going to be fine. If that doesn't happen, I think this debt ceiling could provide us a reason to say, okay, we got this squeeze, take some profits off and let this digest. So overall, we're above 4,200. So again, the key levels. Hold on, let me shift gears here. Key levels. There we go. So this is what I was pointing out earlier in the week, is can this follow the same pattern? I wasn't expecting it in 2 days, but it did. It was 2 days, and could we get another big one candle up higher? Would not surprise me. So overall, what I'm watching next week is, can we get above 42.20 and 42.35? Those are very key levels, and I think it's very possible that we very well could test that. So overall, risk reward not great, but a squeeze could push it higher. We'll see what happens. But overall, in my system, the risk reward is not great. So it's right to be bullish here, but kind of take targets along the way, if that makes sense. So overall, I like what I'm seeing. What I'm watching next week is, can value finally participate? Let's see some of these names do well, because some areas just are not really doing very well at all. In fact, some of it's recessionary. So in short, the way I'm viewing the last 2 days is, you had buyers in growth and you had people short, which leads to the best possible scenario of a huge squeeze. And that's what we got in the last 2 days. So you do not want to short something in a good trend. Like SMH, people were talking about shorting NVIDIA on that right after the big gap up, and it just skyrocketed. Now, it's pretty extreme, as you can see, and buyers did come in based on volume. So overall, the summary is this: when something is in a trend, don't fight it. When something is downtrending, don't fight it, because usually selling persists, usually buying persists. Once you see buyers come into value, that could be an interesting trade, but we're not seeing that. So not interested in those areas. But have a great weekend. Nice extended weekend. Wish I would have done better the last 2 days. Needed to hold a little bit longer, but I'm still a little concerned that, based on risk reward, nothing based on economics, but based on risk reward, it's just not ideal, if that makes sense. So have a great weekend, guys. Hope you can enjoy some sun and spend some time with family. Thanks, guys.